Welcome back to Final Fantasy V. We are back at it in the Sealed Temple. Right, so, last time there was a big statue, and we had to look at it because now we can go back to the man who has just the best soft on the planet. It can make any stone not a stone anymore. And so while we return to him, I'm just gonna go down the route that I missed last time by teleporting straight there, because quite frankly, I do have encounters lowered at the moment. I still don't want to be bothered with 10,000 behemoths. Oh, sorry, lower encounter rate, 5,000 behemoths.
Something about the phrase, the best soft on the planet, makes that sound like a euphemism.
Oh yeah, no, he's got some absolutely amazing drugs.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like he's pushing drugs.
Yeah, got some, soft. Nobody else has got, premium shit, you know?
I'm just laughing because calling a drug as a euphemism golden needle is just still going to get people to come after you. Calling heroin golden needle just really funny because you're not even hiding the fact that it uses a needle.
You're supposed to bury that lead. People don't like needles. This guy's actually just selling a whole lot of drugs that coincidentally have the same names as the items in our inventory. Alright, I got some top quality elixir over here. Yeah, no, this is the weed I sell. It's called holy water. What do you mean you sell actual holy water? That works? Like on zombies? What? Alright, Mace of Zeus is like one of the better maces of the game.
I'm not buying a weed strain called Mace of Zeus.
Alright, I hear you've got the good shit. Come on. Oh, I see, they're jelly softs. Okay, gotcha. These softs ain't shit. Alright, so, here's the real reason that we couldn't actually just get this, amazing jelly soft. It's because it actually stops working after a few minutes. We've got 5 minutes to get to that statue, before it just wears off, so... Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's impossible to get there without read ahead or anything, but boy does it make it easier. You don't like backtracking? Bad news. Here's backtracking with a chance of fucking up, causing you need to backtrack again.
You know, last time we talked about bonus dungeon design from Square Enix, I'm now just thinking of like the regular dungeon design from the Shin Megami Tensei series. And like, that could be mean and spiteful and, you know, fuck you. But something about, like, you have to get from here to this big rock in 5 real minutes. Timer does not pause during fights. It's, like, it's not even funny, it's just upsetting.
Yeah, like in SMT it's just like, here's a teleporter maze that fucking hates your guts. Here it just seems like somebody was like, I don't know, how do we add challenge here? 5-minute timer. Shrug.
My favorite, just weird, like, trollish dungeon design in Nocturne is one of the dungeons is just based around optical illusions.
That's good.
Like, they don't do anything fucky with, like, event flags, they just do, like, forced perspective stuff to, like, make it look like a hallway ends before it does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once you walk through the door, it just looks like a short hallway, but as you get closer, you see that, like, the right half of the wall is much closer than the left half, so you can go around.
Oh, that's so good, though. At least it's not Dungeon of Sloth from, If.
Yeah.
Now that's bad design, where somebody was just like, I don't know, just do this shit. That'll annoy people, right? Alright, so let's make this statue soft. Hey, I like being a statue. What the fuck? Hey, what's your problem, man? Got a problem with statues? I got my Dark Elemental buddies here to help me out.
You know I got my Dark Elementals on standby.
I'm just gonna shoot you to death. Alright, so yeah, unfortunately, he started with Blaster, which just one-hit killed Bartz. So, I'm going to say, the major gimmick of this boss, and it's going to sound annoying, but in addition to a bunch of attacks that turn your party into zombies, he's also got a particular gimmick where, if you kill both of the Dark Elementals, he will bring them back. So basically you need to kill one and damage one a lot because it's got White Wind, so you don't want it to heal too much, but you also can't kill it or he'll just bring them both back. And when you kill Grand Aevis, the Dark Elementals will explode, so you also want them close to death for that. I will say though, despite how annoying it sounds, I didn't think this battle was actually horrible to do, and I don't have like a super precise, amazing team. Like, I was just keeping on carrying on with what I had before. The most I did was add items back into people's rotation, because zombie is actually particularly difficult to deal with. We really haven't had much of an opportunity to deal with it, but yeah, no, Esuna doesn't hear it. You can only use holy water. Also, for some reason, he's playing, Exodus theme. We're getting fierce battle for some reason, I don't know why.
This was Exodus pet.
This was my pet rock. It looks like a big dragon. Do not make it stop being a rock. It'll be very angry.
Alright, so the good news is, Finisher from Lena is actually particularly effective. The reason I specify from Lena is because there's actually a gimmick that I don't believe I've mentioned attached to the Finisher move, which is the fact that it is elemental based on what element of crystal each character has, which that rarely comes up at any point in the game. But yes, as a reminder, Bartz is wind, Lena's water, Ferris's fire, and I mean, technically it can matter for this hack since you can sort of play as Gladiator early just without the costume. Gelaf and Krill are earth. So if you want a particular element on your extremely powerful attack, it actually does matter for that. You wouldn't think that would come into play, but like, no, yeah, Lena's water attack will not get negated at all by Grand Aevis. So you can just safely do stupid amounts of damage to him.
Whenever you say Grand Aevis out loud, it sounds like you're saying Grand Davis.
Grand Davis. Alright, so this would probably be a good place to double back and save after doing that, so you don't have to do the 5-minute thing or fight a particularly tough boss. So yeah, that one is a challenge that I enjoy, but I have looked at the 2 super bosses descriptions on the wiki, and boy oh boy, I am not looking forward to doing that if I ever do. Alright, so yeah, now we can switch out of read ahead. Now, do I want frequent fights? Not particularly, but I do want the levels. Alright, so at this point, we have pretty much one path to the end, sort of. It has 2 distinct branches. Also, here's 2 Iron Giants. Honestly, at this point, not a big deal.
Mom said it's our turn on the Xbox.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it would be terrifying, but like, yeah, I know these are endgame enemies, but we're beyond that. We're too cool for them now. Alright, so, yeah, like I was saying, there's only one path, mostly, and no gimmicks, to my knowledge, or nothing like the soft one at least. We will see a returning gimmick, confusingly enough, but it's not a huge deal. But yeah, just because this is kind of a straightforward path doesn't mean you shouldn't be careful, and also it doesn't mean there aren't little diversions for a whole lot of treasure, some of which are actually useful.
You're not gonna get to a room in this dungeon is gonna say, now, take out the Final Fantasy V cartridge and put in Final Fantasy IV to proceed.
Yeah, Kane and his boys, they've got it from here.
We finally figured out Stop and Swap. I love the idea of trying to fool a child into thinking that Stop and Swap is real. Like a room in a bonus dungeon trying to convince you to turn off the game to progress, but really it doesn't do anything.
Oh, that would be so dickish in this dungeon that has very limited saves and takes a hot minute. Oh yeah, Ironclad is also just like Iron Giant, but more so. Hits like a tank, that's pretty much it. Anyway, go on.
Uh-oh, this door is shut too tightly. Looks like you'll have to jiggle the cartridge to get it open.
You just remove the cartridge, put in Final Fantasy IV, and regardless of whether or not you've actually played the game, it starts up Trial of Cain. Alright, here we go. Okay, so here's just an accessory that nullifies elements. That's pretty good. Yeah, I like to not take damage from the most basic ass spell. That sounds great, actually. God, if you listen to the music, you can just tell how many fights I got into. Oh, anyway, here's Mind Flayers. They're back. It's always so funny that these guys sometimes appear in the Final Fantasy series. Like, Illithids are like one of the big villains of D&D, but back in the day where they're just like, okay, let's look through the monster manual. Oh, squid-headed guys, yeah, sure, they'll just be some random mini-boss, in the Swamp Dungeon.
We are not intimidated by the Gygax estate.
Fucking come at us, we'll take a beholder. What are you gonna do? Well, okay, maybe not for the second game and onwards. We could only get away with a beholder one time. Instead, we'll make our own terrifying, massive something or other. Here's the Malboro. Fuck you. What if it was mouth instead of eye?
I just love the idea of, like, alright, to avoid lawsuits, we're going to get rid of our Beholder enemy and replace them with this. What should we call it? How about Malboro? Because, you know, Mal means bad. And then, like, a week later, it's like, what the fuck do you mean there's a cigarette company called that?
That sounds like a them problem. Okay, fine, we'll call them Mad Oscar instead.
Now that we're in the bonus parts, I take that as implicit permission to talk about any game, and not just the one that's currently on screen.
Alright, yes, but also, hey, guess what gimmick is back? It's this one. Remember Guido's Cave when you had to put a stone in a box? This is back. Now there's treasures associated with it. Anyway, go on.
So there are several Squaresoft Super Nintendo games that have this have an art style similar to this. The one I'm thinking of right now is Romancing Saga. The whole trilogy kind of looks like this, but especially the first one. I bring it up because it might be the only JRPG on Earth to have visible encounters on the field that people don't like. Because there are like dozens of them on every map and they're impossible to avoid. So it doesn't actually solve the problem of getting that random encounters cause, because you're still getting into way too many fights because you literally can't get away from these guys. One of the characters you can play as, I think Albert is his name, he's like in a castle and everybody's talking about like how bad the like monsters are outside. You can like look out the castle walls and just see like 20 monsters right there. And when I tried to play, I was like, oh, that's kind of cute that they did that so that you can see how many monsters there are. And then you get past the intro part, it's like, alright, now go fight them, fuckhead. Here are 20 monsters. Also, story progression in this game is based on the number of encounters you've had. So if you get into too many encounters, not only does the average difficulty of the encounters go up, you might miss events.
Wow, now that's design.
Yeah, Romancing Saga 1 sucks, and there's a reason that they just remastered Minstrel Song instead of trying to make the original version of Romancing Saga 1 work.
Also, in that last fight, the spell effects glitched out slightly and most of them didn't appear for some reason. The problem fixes itself, and it was mostly annoying, but also I did like what it did for the Faraga effect, where it just sort of made Bart's glow. He was just being melted from the inside. Made it more painful, if anything. Also, the Hyper Wrist accessory we got is really good. It just makes you real strong.
I like to imagine these guys are shouting Mind Blast whenever they use Mind Blast.
Mind Blast! We can't actually show us attaching ourselves to your head. Square Enix said, no, we can't do that. Too violent.
Don't remember why I showed this particular fight, but also I do enjoy the child just pummeling that squid to death.
Mm-hmm. As a counter. You just like... Ah, fuck! Hit him back.
I guess this also shows that Osmos is, not the most accurate spell. Which I guess makes sense, they don't want you making elixirs completely useless.
It's also funny to just picture, like, oh, the Mind Flayers are trying to eat our psychic energy? Well, fuck you, I'll just eat you right back.
Oh, it didn't work, they're actually really good at this. And as for these guys, it's very easy to set them on fire. X-Ray's whole thing is status effects, and there you go. Otherwise, you just burn them down. It's fine. See?
Oh, so these are baby Marlboros.
Weirdly enough, their breath, actually minty fresh. Alright, now here's one of the parts where if I just went to the left, I could avoid a whole lot of stuff, but we do actually want to go down this way, and it's also a very good idea to have a thief in your party, or maxed out or whatever, because this hidden passage over here leads you to Apocalypse. Hell yeah.
The game just ends.
So here's another good-ass sword, which I guess we'll just give to Ferris. She also got the Kage Nui before, which is a very good knife that's very fast, but I decided I want Ferris to wield Apocalypse and Ragnarok at the same time. Let's give the pirate 2 world-ending events, why the hell not? I should probably give Lena something. Honestly, at this point I should probably take off the Genji equipment. It's got some good status immunities, but I mean, I should give her Hyper Wrist so she just punches harder. Alright, so we've got a new enemy, but also this is mostly just to show Ferris's new swords. But I do appreciate Akalon. Just that and Katoblipaw is such a good sprite. It's got all 4 legs, but like, its next situation makes me think it's just gonna say, "Don't worry guys, I can make it on my own." Alright, there we go. Now we can see the sword situation. There we go, 3,000 damage a hit. Cool. Yeah, it hits like a Brave Blade, which, since I haven't run at all, is still one of the best weapons in the game. Which, I mean, hey, that's a hefty price, but like, considering I was able to do endgame, like, post-game damage from endgame, that's pretty good. Here's Soul Eaters, light them up. I forget if I mentioned this specifically, but the more recent ports of Final Fantasy V have actually allowed you to basically recharge the Brave Blade to make it, like, better. I think it's basically, if you stop running from fights, its power will start going back up. So, it's not completely useless if you've ever run. Which then kind of just turns it around and makes the chicken knife kind of useless, unless you're at the point where you're just running from everything ever.
Or it's a situation where, like, the Brave Blade can be recharged, but the chicken knife doesn't have to worry about that.
I think it is that chicken knife's power lowers as you stop running. Oh, hey, here's Duelist. Okay, so the Duelist gimmick, he counters very hard. Ferris had the damn Mirage vest on, and he still just did that.
She has 2 world-ending blades.
Yeah, so that's just the gimmick of the Duelist fight, is he can counter just about anything. He doesn't always, but he usually will. So he'll just counter by killing you on the spot. Not even necessarily the person who hit him. He just looks down the road and is like, "I'm gonna kill you now." And then he does.
You hold the power to end the world. I better get rid of you quick.
I mean, I guess he is pretty smart. Considering it's 4-on-1, I can understand why the Duelist would be panicking a little bit. We're a little bit unfair here. He has other fancy moves, but I don't care about them because they don't kill you in one hit. Ah, Royal Crown, that's a pretty good, like, magic accessory. Raises a bunch of stats, including some magic ones, so just all around. Actually, is it a... It might actually be a helmet. I do not remember. It would make sense as a helmet. Anyway, though, here we're showing off Assassin because we get to see his gimmick in action, which might be useful for the future, because I think I mentioned this the first time we fought this type of enemy, but, like, his whole gimmick is that, like, there's kind of just a fake assassin on the field that you sometimes hit instead of the real one. So sometimes your damage is just not actually doing any damage. And I say that because a certain boss actually runs off that logic. Again, I don't know if I want to tackle the big super bosses this game. I'll fight the main guy of this dungeon for certain. But the super bosses, I'm just looking at them, I'm going, ugh. Oh, I don't want to.
So are there any world-ending events to name Ferris's canon after? All I can think of is Gute Dämmerung. But that's the same thing as Ragnarok, that's just the German name for it.
I mean, it's not world-ending, but, like, Step on a Lego is close, right?
My cannon! Step on a Lego!
It fires a Lego, and at that point, it's basically just Stealth Rock.
The cannon is named Mutually Assured Destruction. It doesn't kill Ferris, though, only the enemy. She knows it's a world-ending scenario. She doesn't really understand why.
Shinryu and Omega just look at it and they're like, oh yeah, shit. You know? Maybe each of our fingers on the trigger doesn't make the world a more peaceful place. Maybe our non-stop paranoia about destroying each other is actually doing more harm than good. And then they hug and everybody's confused.
They walk off the battlefield with their arms around each other's shoulders.
Alright, Lena, take off your sunglasses. We miss enough as it is. Yeah, if there is one gimmick that is kind of prevalent in this dungeon, it is, of course, enemies with high evasion, which is entirely fair. I mean, we have magic, that's sort of what that's for. Gotta use all the tools in the kit, including quick save, because, as you can see, this has been sealed off by powerful magic, and quite frankly, you don't want to go in there anyway. So we'll be going a little bit to our left next time, but I'm done for now. This was like a whole ass hour of playtime for me, so we're done. Bye.